Okay, so I was trying to avoid re-recording this, but I don't think I have a choice now. Okay, so this video is going to be about this video on the screen. I want to talk about reincarnation, the reincarnation trap from another perspective. Other people who have done research who came upon the reincarnation soul trap, not through the plant medicine, not through deja vu or dreams or being able to perceive the matrix, but from remote viewing. If you don't know what remote viewing is, it's basically like a sixth sense, another way of seeing what's happening in another part of the world or another part of the universe. If you're really good, you can check out other parts of the planets and the universe, I guess. So, how did I come upon this? Well, again, how did I come upon this again? Well, about a year ago, I think it was about a year ago, I saw this video. And, by the way, the title of this video is called Psychic Project on the Matrix, the Unveiling of the Soul Loosh Harvesting System. So, I was doing research on the reincarnation trap. At that point, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that reincarnation is full of crap. And that it's a trap. From personal experiences, personal memory recalls, and other experiences as well. So, when I saw this, I thought it was quite interesting. But it is only now that it occurred to me that perhaps other people will want to hear this from other perspectives. I would like to look at this video and discuss it with you because watching it again gave me some insights, and I would like to talk about Inky and Lee. Not really Inky and Lee per se, but the council, because it gave me a new insight about who really governs the entire universe. Because I've been saying that I think the AI is higher than the council, but something has remained unsettled for me. And so this video sheds some light on that, so we'll discuss it. Again, I came upon this video again for the second time because I was checking out one of my new subscribers' YouTube account, because all the people anyone who doesn't hide and subscribes and is obvious, you can see if they're legit and if they're not legit by going on their account and seeing what videos they've posted and so forth. So this particular person, subscriber, had this on his account. His, I believe, maybe her, I don't know. But in any case, I'm glad that that person did, because I'm sharing this with you now because it gave me insights that I would like to share with you. I would like to play the entire video so that you can have a full picture of what I'm talking about. And so basically what I'm talking about is being able to share with you the fact that reincarnation is real, that it is not a belief system, and that it is not that this planet we live on, the so-called planet, the so-called globe, is indeed a prison, and pussyfooting around it is not going to take us out. We have to be honest about it. The Matrix is real, and the Matrix is not something that we only think is there. There are certain things that are true, so this is one of them. Let's begin. The volume is a little low.
In this video, I'm going to talk about
Okay.
about the concept of moksha. This is a Sanskrit word which literally means the freedom or liberation from the cycle of death and rebirth. And I'm going to discuss real briefly about the history of this term, where it came from, and then I'm going to go into the remote viewing data that was obtained when 4 different viewers looked at this topic blind. And the amount of corroborating data between the spread of work was very high, and then some of the new information that came in with remote viewing data that caught all of us after we had completed this project. We did analysis and we saw what the actual target was. There's some very startling information that came out across the board on all the work. So I want to do a presentation of the work. I want to talk about what was obtained, and then just my thoughts on it after the fact. So the concept of moksha originated in the first millennium BC, and it began along the Ganges River in India, is where its origins. This Sanskrit word it may have gone much further back than that, but it's the first recorded instance that we have of it. And it plays a significant role in a number of Eastern religions. It's a fundamental aspect of Buddhism, Hinduism, as well as Jainism. Buddhists believe that this freedom, or this liberation from reincarnation, being born again and again, exists once you deny the existence of the permanent self and attain nirvana, a state of nothingness. You realize that reality is an illusion, a web or an illusion, and once you clear that fog and you see through it, you'll no longer exist, and then thus be free of it. Hindus and Jainism, those practice Jainism, have a slightly different view. Hindus believe that you're born again and again through various lives because of your acts and the karma that you accrue based on those acts. So if you live a good life, you generate and accrue good karma. If you have a life that is filled with thievery, and crime, and evil acts, you accrue bad karma. And that it's until you're able to eradicate the bad karma, you're going to be stuck here until you do so. And the ways you do that could be through meditative techniques, increased enlightenment and knowledge. There's a number of different groups that have varying degrees and different opinions about how it's actually done. But the overall agreement is that good karma, once you have enough of that, it outweighs the bad karma, and then you'll be free. And you'll finally achieve moksha. Jainism is very similar to Hinduism in that they believe that you do need to get rid of bad karma to achieve moksha. They take it a step further, though, and they believe that you need to get rid of and actually absolve good karma as well. And they have various prescriptions on how to do that. But it's that you have to get rid of all karma, the good and the bad, is where Jainism falls in kind of the spectrum. Early Christians believed in reincarnation as well. Basilides of Alexandria, an early Christian teacher, around 140 to 160 AD, he taught that as an explanation, essentially, of why pious individuals who had a good life, who never sinned, who were really good, why they might be stricken with such immense poverty or sickness or whatever it is in their life that didn't seem fair or right. And they used the explanation that it was because of their previous lives that they had lived. That's why they were being punished in this life, and they had to make up for it in this life. So somewhat similar to the Eastern religion early on, but the Catholic Church ultimately struck that out. There were a couple of different councils that were assembled, and they decided that it was too controversial because it flew in the face of the sanctity of the crucifixion, and that they didn't like that concept, so they got rid of it. Where remote viewers come in is we took this project. I was one of the remote viewers who worked the project blind. There were 3 other remote viewers who also did the same. And by blind, all I really simply mean is that when I ran the actual project, I did not know what the target was. So there's a project manager who sends out to the different viewers just a randomly generated number. They set it up in a certain way so that they had assigned this concept of moksha with that number. And then when we sit down to do the remote viewing work, our unconscious mind has no problem tracing that number back to the associated project, which is Moksha. So it's a way that allows me as a viewer and any other viewer who's operating blind to, since I don't know what it is on remote viewing, all my biases or information that I might have read about or books about the topic, it keeps it all out because I have no idea what I could do with remote viewing. So it's a way of kind of taking a step back and keeping the data a little bit more clean as opposed to writing something front loaded. And so it's one of the fairly standard remote viewing protocols is that you really want to run projects blind whenever you can to kind of secure the integrity of the information. It also makes it all the more fascinating when very, very specific information relevant to the topic comes out of the work, because the viewers have no idea what they're remote viewing, but when the viewers get back, and then I'm going to provide answers to a couple of the contextual questions that were answered through the work that really surprised us as viewers after the fact. And it's information, this is the type of thing when we're talking about reincarnation in general, most people tend to have a hard time believing that to begin with. But if the concept of reincarnation is difficult for you to kind of stomach, this information will be far more difficult to stomach.
For sure. Because
it's unsettling. Some of this information is a little unsettling. And there's a sense of, no, that couldn't be. It's far out there. It's far stretched. And I think if this information wasn't attained by remote viewing by me personally, done blind, done in a very rigorous manner using a structured remote viewing technique, if multiple viewers hadn't come up with the same information describing the same mechanics, the same groups that are responsible, it would probably be even difficult for me to believe. And this is why, when remote viewers go back, they're going directly to the source. They're going directly to the underlying patterns of information that we believe make up this database or this matrix that informs physical reality. And so there's no third party, at least that we're aware of, by accessing remote viewing data. It's just the facts. And so if it wasn't, the story's pretty...
Okay, so I think because I was logging on to another website here, maybe that's what...
Out there. It's pretty out there. But, just take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, use your own discernment in this. And, the purpose of this video, the purpose of this YouTube channel, and the content I'm producing is really just to share the information so that you can make your own mind up.
Moksha.
So to begin with, I'm going to start with a description of the site, which is essentially what is surrounding the target before we jump down into specifics, and then also the contextual data that answers a number of different questions about Moksha. When we originally described this site, it's a fence or a grid around a place. This acts as a barrier. It collects and traps people, things, or objects. This is actually an innocent planet that is being used in an unintended way, and this meters the flow and acts as a checkpoint and an access point for an external force. One viewer described it as similar to hocus pocus in a way of its energetics that the viewer wasn't familiar with.
Okay, so let's just be sure I didn't fast forward too much here. He's describing the planet, describing our realm, planet Earth.
And it's occurring on a crowded planet. It's a deliberate function that acts as a cage. People have been dispersed here, and a form of perverted injustice is occurring. Third viewer described it as a large naturally formed object, like a planet, that acts as an animal pen. This is a refugee camp tucked away out of sight, and a magnetic force. It stirs, agitates, and it works in a cylindrical manner, like clockwork over a long expanse of time.
If that doesn't sound like a prison, I don't know what is.
In my session, my work described a planetary system that's extremely crowded and jammed. Ghostly voices are flooding into this place, and it's incredibly harrowing for them. It's a bone-chilling experience. As a viewer,
and you don't see anybody on the planet. It's okay because people don't live on the planet. Okay, the dome The round circular thing is stopping people. People live inside.
When I remote viewed this, I had descriptions that it made me upset in the session. It elicited contempt for what was going on at the site. But the activity at the site was this concept of a net that's been spun. And it's
a net. You will hear this word used often. A net, a grid. There's another word I can't think of, but those are all the same. That's once you understand things like this, you understand that we've never left the planet. We've never visited the moon. You know, once you begin to put the pieces together, it makes sense. Things like going to the moon and going to other planets, we haven't done any of it. It's all a lie.
Operation of catch and release on a grand scale. So there's a massive grid that exists around this planet, and it acts as a checkpoint, a waypoint or rest stop where souls are drained, and then that in turn energizes something else. So very, very specific information about soul.
Souls are drained, and that in turn nourishes something else. Okay. Yes, give me a second. I'm coming. I'm doing two things at once here, people. I have people working to fix a heater, so I'll be back in 1 second. I'll pause this video.
Long, expansive.
I'm gonna go back a little bit because I paused it when I had to go talk to my repair people. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, move, not too far. Okay, here.
Be upset in the session.
Okay, it's taking us.
Elicited contempt for what was going on at the site. But the activity at the site was this concept of it.
I don't know why it's freezing. I didn't download this, so I think it's
net that's been spun, and it's an operation.
Okay, so he talked about a net. He mentioned those things before. A net, a grid. It's all the same to keep us imprisoned.
Catch and release on a grand scale. So there's a massive grid that exists around this planet.
Around this planet, and not just this planet, other planets, other realms as well.
And it acts as a checkpoint, a waypoint.
Acts as a checkpoint. Come on, this thing is freezing.
Point or rest stop where souls are drained.
Where souls are drained.
And then that in turn energizes something else.
That in turn nourishes something else. I'm going to see if I can pause this because I don't want to waste your time. Let me see what's going on with this video. I'm going to try again. He's talking about, just to reiterate, there's a net around the planet, a grid that drains our inner light energy. I think for most people, they don't know they have a light inside, i.e. a soul, because the light inside is so light, if you're not careful, you think you are your physical self. And a couple of videos, maybe I've spoken about this before, and I know I showed it in at least one video where you can determine your light inside, even if you're confused, through the eye exercise by tapping the side of your eye. So let's see. We are definitely living on a prison planet. Not all realms are like this, but a lot of realms are like this. And it's not just our world that's a prison. There are other planets, or quote-unquote frequency, that are imprisoned as well. So the whole Saturn thing should be taken seriously. Saturn is not a nice place. I did a video on that recently. Some people believe that Saturn is the source of the control system. That may very well be true. In any case, it's a dark place. Let me see if this thing will be continuous.
Very, very specific information.
I don't understand it. This was working fine. Maybe let me close this. It was working fine before I went downstairs. All I did was turn on the heat. I haven't had heat since last winter, and they came to fix it.
Souls are back.
All right, I'm definitely not.
Clockwork nature over a long expanse of time, as well as the collecting, trapping, and then re-releasing.
Whatever force, whatever mechanism, whatever I don't know what's stopping this, but I really wanted to play this video. Okay.
All this information came in. Okay, what's going on locally here, and the fact that it's the entire planet.
That is so weird. He was going to talk about the fact that it's not just this realm, but then it just keeps pausing. This is, I looked this up on YouTube. I didn't see it on YouTube.
The process works is that...
How does this work? He's going to talk about how it works, if it'll play.
Earth is shielded by a companion object.
Okay, I'm going to pause the video to figure out why...
I'm not sure if this is a physical thing. We're dealing with...
I'm going to pause. As soon as I paused it, it started working fine again. So let's try again. So he is talking about technology, how they're doing this, how they, meaning the council, is doing this. The council's in charge. Of course, the council has minions. As soon as I put the recorder back on, I started having problems again. I don't know what's going on with this.
Around this planet.
Okay, I'll just keep talking until it's done.
Checkpoint, a waypoint, or rest.
Okay, well, I'll just keep talking.
Where souls are drained.
Souls are drained. Maybe if I go forward a little bit.
Describes it as a magnetic vice that...
So weird. So weird. So basically, let me pause and I'll give it the description. I'll describe what he says, and then if you want to watch this yourself, you can watch it later. Because I don't want to keep having interruptions and wasting your time or my time. So here's a picture describing, showing, he's trying to do the best he can here. So he goes on to talk about his and other people's observation through remote viewing. And they noticed a council. He calls the group a council. That's the same name that I use. And the council, they are organic beings. The council is not a huge group; it's just a number of beings that are not really physical, but they are organic. I saw the council as well, and it's more like a lucid flowing energy, but they have a humanoid body. So this remote viewer goes on to talk about the fact that whenever you tap into their energy, they know you're watching them. He specifically says that when they were remote viewing and they were watching the council, they saw the council. The council viewed the fact that they were being watched insignificant. And he described it as being watched by, I don't know, lower beings. I don't know what, I don't think he said ants, but somewhat being watched by beings that are not really, don't matter. So, when he was talking about the council, the beings that are organic, I had a recall about my experience in Mexico, where I had a visit in the room when I was taking peyote, and I thought the medicine wasn't working, and then came this being. So this is where the AI comes in, the AI. Because the being was coming through a machine, like sort of like portals after portal after portal. So I thought, okay, the AI has devised. But now, having watched this video, something didn't add up before. I think this guy, Sergeant Schultz, that's what he calls himself on BitChute. I think he's right. I think the ultimate controllers are organic, and they very well might be the council. I thought the AI was higher, but it's not making sense to me. I think perhaps the being that came through the portal to threaten me might have been someone higher than Enlil Enki. Maybe it was Anu. Who knows? But I know that they like to go terrorize people together, but the only thing that makes sense is for someone higher to come and threaten me, and to threaten my wife at that time before I got married. Your wife, when you are in the astral or non-physical, at that time I wasn't even married. I'm like, my wife, I'm not even married. I said, it made sense that they were talking about the future. In 2000, that was in 2015. It was right before I started uploading my books into audio onto and posting them on YouTube and other sites. So at that time, I thought, I'm not doing anything that's getting a lot of people's attention. But again, you just never know. You just never know who's listening, because the universe is not a small little planet. I mean, for them to come and, the council to threaten me, to send perhaps Anu after me, or Anu to come himself, must mean that although this planet doesn't seem to be listening, although I only have about 50,000 views, that is irrelevant, because other worlds are listening, and this is good because it's time to take back. It's time we took back our realms. It is not the realms, it's not their realms. Okay? The universe belongs to us. It does not belong to a few people, a few beings who think they can play God. Because we're all pieces of the puzzle. And so I'm going to try again to play this, and hopefully it plays smoothly this time, because if it doesn't, then you can check out the title. You see the title, you can play for yourself later. I clicked on it, but Doesn't seem to be running. We'll wait a few seconds to see if it works.
Is attached around a large plate.
Okay.
It's a mechanical process that
Okay.
incorporates destructive chemicals and an individual undergoes bombardment as they pass through this.
So he's talking about after you leave your body, when you die, how you are forced to come back. He talked about the fact that if, when you leave, a piece of your soul is fractured.
And the people that pass through, they feel
A piece of your soul is fractured. So
lost. They don't have an understanding of what's going on associated.
all right, we're going to stop because it's going on too much. I don't have the software to download this, so maybe I'll look it up later. But in any case, he describes it pretty well, so you can check out the video. He does a good job. People not. I think it's safe to say that most people are not whole because there are fragments of them in the universe, and those fragments are used to generate an entire system. He describes the whole trap as souls in a system feeding a larger engine. So it goes beyond this planet, and I strongly think that, well, okay, so, whoever's behind the overall controller system, one thing for sure, in Leland Inky, I'm the council, they have a significant part to play. So it seems, I don't know. It's a little, because I keep thinking back to that threat that was made on me, and something doesn't make sense. I think the council perhaps are higher than I thought. So in any case, my immediate intuition was that this guy is right to say that the beings that control the universe are pretty much organic. They're not inorganic. Inorganic is just another way to say that they've hardened so much that they can be used. Because even solid things are not without, even if you don't have a soul. I keep saying this and people think that I don't know. Even if you don't have a soul, that doesn't really mean that that's just a temporary state. Because there's this thing going on the internet where people are talking about the organic portals, soulless ones, and people who have souls. Okay, if you have a soul, you're on a much higher vibration, and most people have souls. I have no doubt about that. And also understand that some people don't have souls. I personally have not seen someone who, if I did, I'm not aware of it, who does not have a soul, but it makes sense that those will exist. The problem is that like people like quartz crystal use that as an excuse to manipulate people. Use the fact that something doesn't have a soul, therefore the whole animal thing, that's just a load of bullshit and lie. Animals don't have souls, therefore you can do whatever you want with them. I saw through that lie. I sensed it, I felt it, her energy. So that's what I have a problem with. Just because you're not human, or just because you're not quote unquote an alien, doesn't mean that you don't have a soul. And even if you don't have a soul, everything is alive. Even if you don't have a soul, it might take billions and billions of years, but you will become all aware, because the universe is in the process of becoming more aware. Every video that we post every person that we reach makes the universe that much more aware, that much more conscious. So looking at the grander picture, soulless or having a soul is a temporary state. Temporary state. Eons are temporary states of awareness. Of course, you don't want to be in a temporary state because it's very painful. But so when you get a chance, please check this video out. Again, the reason why I wanted to show this video because I wanted to show another perspective, another way of getting at the picture, understanding reincarnation. Because when people come from different perspectives, you see that should help you understand that this is not a belief system. Reincarnation is not a good thing. It could be a good thing if we had more access to our memories. I mean, for crying out loud, we wake up and we don't remember half our dreams. That implies that something is going on, even in the sleep state. Good luck on your journey back to source consciousness, people.